What is the most awkward moment you've witnessed at a wedding? At my friend's wedding they asked her cousin, or her cousin insisted, to sing for their first dance. She is a professional singer and does have a great voice. It started out fine and dandy. Couple was dancing. Cousin was behind them singing. And then she got off stage and started walking in front of them dancing. She literally stood in front of them with arms out belting her song like she was Celine Dion in Vegas. During their first dance, she completely tried to upstage them, and it was an incredibly cringe-worthy experience to watch her cousin try to make a show out of her own performance rather than letting the bride and groom have the attention. She is in every photo of their first dance because she wouldn't stop standing in front of them. It was like out of a comedy movie. Collectively you could feel everyone in the room thinking WTF is going on lol. Probably when I spilled gravy on the bride's gown as I took her plate away. Yeah, that was pretty bad. 6 years later and I still think about it at night. We flew my sister-in-law's longtime boyfriend out to come to our wedding because he was great and we all loved him. After he got there and got settled, she decided to break up with him the day before the ceremony. He was staying with my in-laws, so he had to ride out the weekend in their house with her and the rest of the family. I felt so bad for him. At my sister-in-law's wedding, the teenage son of the best man took my daughter's doll out to the playground and ripped it to pieces. When I confronted him, his father came barreling out, told me I was crazy, and then told me I should have had boys instead. I wish I could say that's what ruined the weekend. But it was one for the ages. My maid of honor took the mic from the DJ and did an unprompted speech talking about how she got married months before and talked mostly about herself. Someone said, "WTF" out loud. We don't talk anymore. So this is shame on me. My aunt was getting married. And their invitation said the theme was sports related and to wear your favorite jersey. It wasn't until I got there and saw no one else wearing sports attire that I realized I misread the invitation. The jersey attire was meant for the reception, not the ceremony. So there I am, wearing a jersey while everyone else is dressed formal. And I'm not really even into sports. My step-cousin and her husband had a 2-year-old child before their wedding. No one had a problem with this, heck. They were both in their early 30s, but they had proven to not be the most responsible parents. Their wedding was set on a farmyard with the dancing and food in a barn and the ceremony right outside within this large hay structure. About 15 minutes before the ceremony starts, the bride and groom realize that their son is missing. It took 3 hours before he was found hiding in an inner pocket of the hay structure. Everyone was exhausted and several of the elderly had to watch the ceremony within the barn because it was over 100 degrees out middle of June. That kid is still a little stinker. I went to a cousin's marriage and it all went well until the reception where everyone was having a good time and a friend of hers who I'm guessing was really drunk ended up speaking into the mic that he hoped that he enjoys her beef curtains as much as he did when she was just getting to know him. Dude got chased out the building by multiple people and everyone awkwardly tried to continue the reception as if it didn't happen. We aren't that close, so IDK if she ever ended up talking with that friend, and I don't feel like I am close enough to ever ask about it. I edit wedding videos for a living. I think the most awkward I've seen was when the officiant leaned into the couple before starting the ceremony and told him he'd accidentally left their vows in his jacket in the dressing room. So they'll have to read them at the reception. A groomsman ended up running to get them. Thank goodness. The first wedding I had ever been to. My boyfriend at the time was the best man. I was given little to no information about the evening. And tried my hardest to make sure he didn't get wasted, as per the bride's request. Some things that were cringy. But good God, not all. My BF at the time tried to pull me up to sit with him and the groom at the large family table, but insisted I take the bride's seat beside the groom. I was politely escorted away to a table near the front by their family. Because I guess it isn't customary for me to have sat up there in the first place? No big. It was weird anyway. But I couldn't stop him from drinking. Everyone's eating. And he decides to give a long and embarrassing toast about the groom's poor choice of women in the past before the DJ cuts the mic and announces the first dance. My BF came to my table to sit with me and complain about the incident. But quickly realized the couple weren't dancing. They were shy and awkward, but trying their best to have their first dance. He told me that we should go dance as well. That it's what the couple would have wanted. He pulled me onto the dance floor and proceeded to stomp all over. I thought I was going to break my ankle. Other couples came onto the floor as well. I assumed to mask the show. We went outside and the bride ignored me for the rest of the night as the boys spent the evening getting so trashed. They lost their deposit for the hotel and had to book rooms elsewhere. IRC, they smashed into the gazebo and almost ruined the grass from their cigars. We didn't last long as a couple. But we outlasted the couple who got married. I felt so bad. I was a teenager, so I didn't really have a voice back then. At my cousin's wedding, he was dancing with his wife. They looked beautiful and happy and so in love. All while his sister's fiancé was loudly bragging that their upcoming wedding would be so much better and put everything to shame. Any time someone at our table complimented the current wedding, this had to interject to remind us that he was marrying the sister and their wedding would be better. My cousin and his wife worked really hard and as a result had a gorgeous wedding. It was formal. But everyone had a great time. The band played on the floor with everyone. And they had great food. People still talk about their wedding. His sister and her fiancé have yet to get married. Friend's wedding. Everything was beautiful. The guy's mom requested our church pastor to give a little prayer before eating. Cool, I guess. The guy goes off the deep end and gives a whole sermon. 1 hour plus. And during his sermon the most stupid thing he said was, if there is ever any problems, call your family first and not the police. On top of that, he took up so much time that it cut into everything else. Dancing. Picture taking. It was all cut down because of a pastor's ego. When my cousin got married I witnessed the best man, a 30-something frat boy, proceed to give my 89-year-old great-aunt a lap dance because I guess it's tradition to have the person who catches the bouquet share a dance with the person that catches the garter. He was quite inebriated. She liked it. Lol. My cousin was getting married and the address was wrong on the invitation. Understandably. Many people arrived late. They started the ceremony a bit later. But people were still coming in after it started because of the wrong address. When they got to the part about objections, one of our aunts jumped up and down shouting, "Over here! Over here!" to another one of our family members that was walking around trying to find the ceremony. Whoops. That was a funny and awkward misunderstanding. Someone yelled at her to hush and sit down. My cousin got married. Everything was fine. At one of my friends' weddings, they forgot to tell everyone they could sit down. We stood for nearly the entire wedding. My son and daughter-in-law's wedding. We love her. She lives with us. They are perfect. Her older brother is in. He kept trying to get her phone to change the music she had chosen for the reception because he didn't like it. She even had to have my best friend hide the phone for her. I stepped in and told him no. It's not your wedding and to quit harassing her. He told me to watch my tone. Dude. I am old enough to be your mother. After I ignored him, scared that if my dad noticed, he might beat the outa. This douche. His mommy, my daughter-in-law's mom, rubbed his back and said soothing words to him. He is 25. I couldn't eye roll enough. Then when he and his wife came to give the happy couple their wedding gift of cash, he looked at my son and loudly said this is not for him and walked away. I do wish I could blow people up with my mind. An 8-year-old kid got a hold of the mic during the open floor toasts and started singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Slowly everyone stood to face a flag. There were no follow-up speeches. The master of ceremonies stood up as the bride and groom entered the room and said, "I'd like you to raise your glass to Mr. John Smith and his wife Mary Jones Jackson O'Brien Lloyd Williams Brown Smith," listing all of the surnames of her former husbands. She was not amused. A close friend of mine was getting married. She was a childhood friend and had become friends with most of my friends. We are all so close that we are like family. Between the wedding and the ceremony I was chatting with friends and saying hi to everyone. And so on. Her mom comes to me and asks me to check on the bridal party. The bridesmaids. To make sure they are ready for pictures. So I got upstairs to a room that they were in. I knocked but they didn't answer due to the commotion. I knocked several times but all I hear is laughter. So I assumed it was safe to go in. Nope. So there is my friend. The bride. Bent over a couch with her dress over her back. Out. Bridesmaids on the floor laughing trying to hand me a marker. I look at her and realized they wrote messages to the groom on her. Yes daddy, harder, spank me, and so on. She looks back and sees me. I'm still shocked. And says, "We'll come on write something. Let me point out that it's not like I hadn't seen her naked, it's just WTF. So I did. I wrote something. Bridesmaids still laughing, slapping her and fixing her back to normal. I had to stay in the room to not bring attention. That was the weirdest thing. She is happily married. Her kids call me uncle and her husband is one my dearest friends. And no, he don't know. But even if he did, he would just laugh.